Bro, tallest waterfall in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh boy, we're back. Episode 4 of Severance, Woes Hollow. We're going to be talking about it, talking about a bunch of other things, some theories, as we do every single episode.
We're going deep.
This is an interesting episode. But before we get into it, gotta say thank you to our top tier patrons, Josie, Svach, Tim B, and all of our other Patreon members. You guys are amazing, and your support means the world to us. If you are interested in learning how you can support the show or what Patreon is in general, head over to patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Check it out. Sign up today. We're actually thinking about giving you guys a little teaser of what we do in our Patreon exclusive episodes and releasing our Pale Beyond series on the YouTube channel. So look out for that. But sign up today. You get access to all the old episodes and all that fun stuff. There's a whole bunch of things. Go check it out. Patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Jeff, my friend.
Yes.
There was an episode of Severance.
Indeed.
And we must talk about it.
And can I just say, like, this episode, well, actually, every single episode of Severance, they're like a decent length, right? They're like 50 minutes. Mm-hmm. And like, when it's over, I'm like, that went by so fast. Like, what's happening? Yeah. So, initial thoughts of this episode, because it was very different from the others. Even different from like I know this was an innie episode, but
the innies were outie.
Yeah,
allegedly.
Well, I don't think they were actually outie. That's my own take. But like this was like even more wild than any of the outies experience so far.
Yeah.
So this episode, we start with Irving, and he is out on a frozen pond.
Talk about a cold open. Right?
Yeah. And we get the classic elevator ding.
Yeah.
So he's there.
Already question.
Yeah, like what's happening?
Like we talked about what was it, maybe episode 2? Like what triggers the switch between innie and outie? And apparently, like we were postulating, maybe it's the elevator, and I was saying maybe that once they like descend to a certain floor or something, like it triggers the switch. But Irving's out in the middle of a frozen lake.
Well, we don't know. We don't know which Irving it is.
That is also true. That is true. Well, no.
Not at first.
At first. Yeah, you're right.
So,
but still, the switch is happening. The only other time we've seen that is when they flip the switch themselves.
The OTC, yeah.
But yeah, already right off the bat, just like, how is this happening?
But Milkshake, visited Dylan, right?
Yeah.
In season 1. So I think my guess is that it's an automatic. It just happens, right? But there are certain special occasions where measures need to be taken so that it happens on command.
Yeah, and like Milchek though, and Cobell, they're just, they don't have innies.
Right, they're just regular people like us.
Well,
allegedly. All right, so Irving's there in the middle of a lake, frozen lake. Mark, well, he's yelling hello, as you would, if you
very echoey.
Yeah. And then Mark is up on the cliff yelling at Irving, and I thought this part was hilarious because they're like having this whole conversation yelling at each other. And he's like, come up here. And then he does
he's like, but I'm on ice, and he's like, well, get off of it.
yeah, very like straightforward thinking. Like,
It's like,
well,
have you
come on.
tried not being on a frozen lake?
So it was kind of funny. Irving was kind of doing this like weird run hop, like dune, like skipping like on the sand, like they did. I'm like,
Yes.
they're trying to avoid like a sea worm or something.
The sandworm. Yeah.
So
That is funny.
making his way up the cliff and runs in the heli. They go up to the top of the cliff. Dylan comes out of the woods. He's on another area.
Yeah, just on another cliff.
Right. Coming out of the woods randomly, like yelling. So this is like, I'm guessing this was the first time they've been like outdoors, right?
Yeah.
And then Dylan's like, "Is that you?" Like, yes, it's us.
Yeah. Looking dapper in their black furry jackets and hats.
Their
Very
Russian
nice.
gear, like
Yeah.
they're in Russia. So then we see a TV on another cliff. But if you looked closely, it wasn't there the first time that Irving and Heli approached Mark. So this whole episode is crazy. That was the first thing that was like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that was like, what the heck, is they get to the TV, it's on, but there's no like cords like for power. Yeah. And then we get a nice little retro title screen to like the old fashioned DVD players that you make from your computer, and you give it to somebody. So they hit play, Mark hits play, and it's our buddy Milkshake. And he's, nice music happening, and he's talking through what's going on. And he tosses out the word ORTBO,
Yeah.
which stands for Outdoor Retreat Team Building Occurrence. Which I thought the occurrence was an odd word.
Way to phrase that.
Yeah. And this is because of their desire to see the outside world. And then he's talking about the Dieter Egan National Forest, or whatever he's called it.
Mm-hmm.
And Dylan asks, obviously, who is Dieter? And
Irving's like, you might be wondering, who is Dieter?
And then Milkshake pauses and then seems to know that they would question that.
Yeah.
And then he explains that the answers that they find is in Scissor Cave, in the fourth appendix that Keir dictated in his final hours of his life. And he goes on to say that this book is forbidden on the severed floor. And then like everything changes, like the tone of his voice gets serious, the music gets all dramatic and synth wavy. And then he's like, "Happy fortunes, MDR." Then it's over.
Yeah. There were a lot of like hard like edits in that Milkshake video too.
Yeah. Like, what all did he say? What did they cut out?
Yeah.
And then Irving has a lot of cool like one-liners in this. And he says, "I wouldn't trust a word of that out of that mountebank's mouth," which I had to look that up because that's an odd word. You don't hear that every day. Not the first time we heard a weird word. So that it means a person who deceives others, especially in order to trick them out of their money, a charlatan.
Milkshake the charlatan.
And then they're like looking around, and we see another Mark.
Yes, we do. On
another cliff. And he like lifts his hand and he points.
We just gave each other a high five.
Yeah. So, and it's cool because I was expecting a title sequence. We did not get one. We just had Severance in the sky.
I didn't realize that. You're right.
I had a weird observation, like, and I don't know how I feel about it, but the sun didn't seem to move much, except for like the one time when it went to night, and then it like went down real fast.
Just immediate.
Yeah.
Almost like flipping a light switch.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So they're walking through the woods. The music is dark and ominous. It reminds me of like an old 80s like thriller. Like it just had that tone and feel to me a little bit.
Yeah.
So they finally get to the cave and they find the book conveniently like
just on a little
perched on the wall on a little ledge, and they Helly takes it and she reads the first page, and it's explaining that Kier had a twin. This is all written by Kier, and he's talking about being in the womb with his brother, and then Dylan said that's what those things are. I think he's referencing the mark that they saw, that it's a twin. And that's kind of like Milkshake actually refers to that later on. But it's like really quick and like glossed over a bit.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get into that.
So then Irving takes the book and he starts reading. And then as they're going through the woods, it was a really weird, distorted voice reading with him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? Like it was just weird.
Yeah.
Like right after the cave, and they're like traversing through the woods. And then they see a twin of Dylan, and he's doing the same pointy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed his feet were covered in snow, like they were like buried underneath, like in the snow.
Huh.
And they didn't move. They didn't move at all.
Just
like
point.
Yep, just point.
So what did you write down what was in the book? Like what they read?
No. It was a lot of rambling about Kier's twin, Dieter. About he remembers being in the womb with his twin, which I thought was weird. There's another part that Milkshake reads later at the whole campfire stories part, and he's talking about how his brother died. But no, I didn't like look it up or anything.
Okay, I'll do some browsing.
Okay. So they I moved through my notes too quick. Okay. So they keep walking. Mark and Helly are alone and talk a bit. He asks if she's okay, blah, blah, blah. Irving stops to rest and sees them talking. He's so suspicious of Helly. It's crazy. And then the next section, Irving is telling Mark that he doesn't trust Helly, doesn't think she's telling the truth, and doesn't trust her story, which we know this because he's been questioning the whole time.
Yes.
And then they come across this frozen animal corpse. Mark thinks it's a seal.
Yeah.
I don't think they've experienced what dead things look like. That's why he says maybe this is what dead things look like. Irving.
Great observation.
Walked right into that one.
Yeah.
And Irving suggests they eat it, which is very rational. And then they argue a bit.
Also pretty gross. Like it looked pretty gross.
It looked pretty, yeah.
Also, I have no idea what that was.
I don't.
Any guesses? Because it
could be a seal.
Just looked like an oil covered blob.
Yeah, it did not look good. Yeah. Whatever it was, some kind of monster.
Excuse me.
So they finally get to the waterfall, and this is Woe's Hollow, and they see their twins standing on top of the waterfall, just staring at them.
Mm-hmm.
How'd they get there so fast? We don't know. They're just there.
Yeah.
And then Milkshake shows up.
Yeah.
Dressed all in white fur.
Yes.
And he's all happy, and he says Kier's twin was always with him, and that's what we did for you. And he says, this is the tallest waterfall on the planet. Okay, buddy.
Well, it is when you've never seen a waterfall.
Exactly. And that's just kind of like just shows how like Lumen can just say whatever lie they want to, and they'll just believe it because they don't know any better. They're taking advantage of their
So was that comment the like real quick twin comment you were talking about?
Yeah.
So let's get into this. First
Okay.
off, I found some of what they read from the appendix, and I won't read it all because it's disturbing.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'll read it just because the ending sentence of this paragraph like made me laugh. Okay. Once concealed by Flora, my brother unfastened himself. The din of his fervor fell strangely into concert with the music of the wood, and for a moment I could not tell the two apart. His every thrust found a rhythm with the trill of the crickets and the moaning of the wind and the snowfall's yearly thaw. Dieter became, on that night, an instrument of nature, and nature played Dieter with elegance. And then the sentence from the person writing the article said, this is a very roundabout way of saying Dieter was cranking it in the woods.
And that's why Helly was laughing.
Whoever writes this stuff for the show is hilarious because excuse me. Wow, that was an obnoxious throat clear. I'm so sorry.
You're welcome, patrons.
Yes. I made a post on the Facebook today about this episode, and our good friend Bianca,
shout out,
one of the OGs, actually in Discord, her name was OGBB8. But yeah, she loves this show. She said, even after having watched the first season 5 times, I'm still spotting clues and hints that I missed before. This series is a masterpiece.
Yes.
And I have so many theories, but my belief is that Lumen is cloning humans to use at their own disposal. And this last episode solidified the idea even further for me, which plays into the whole twin thing. And, Dieter, Kier, twins, Milchek making the twin comment there.
Yeah.
But all that to say, also, she said, I'll just read. She has 2 more comments here and I'll just read them. Okay, deep dive here. Have you guys listened to the audiobook of Rickon's The You Are that they released on Apple Books as like a little Easter egg to go along with the show? It's like a 39-page snippet of the book read by the actor who plays Rickon. In it, he discusses pretty in depth a life-altering hiking trip that he, Devin, Mark, and Gemma took where they were completely immersed in nature. There are a lot of parallels between the story and the location of the retreat. And then she also said, I also think Irving and Cobell are already clones. Even their Audis were. But that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Wow.
But yeah, whoever wrote like the appendix and then whoever wrote Rickon's dialogue in the show and this book like are hilarious writers because like I listened to, I threw it on. First off, whole other rabbit hole. Using iTunes is like makes me want to jump out this window. It's I hate Apple so much, and then trying to use iTunes to listen to this stupid book made me hate it even more. It was a pain in the butt, but I got like 20 minutes into it today, and like, dude, it's so funny, dude. But yeah, man, we threw out the theory that they were working to clone Kier himself, and maybe they are. But do you think that the twins or the shadow versions of these of our lovely friends from MDR are actually clones, or do you think it's like some like visual trick that somehow Milchek and Lumen are pulling, or like what do you think is actually going on here?
I definitely am like tracking with the whole clone thing for sure.
No.
And like I think we talked about this earlier in Messenger about this kind of explains the whole goat department where like they asked to show their belly buttons.
Seeing
Like,
pouches.
I mean, do clones have belly buttons?
I don't know. Do they have pouches instead? Just a built-in pocket.
Yeah.
Very handy.
Yeah. You can put stuff in it. It's like a hoodie pocket, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but just yeah.
I
don't know.
There's a lot of hints to it.
And of course, we talked about goats having been cloned, real life, and maybe they're using that as some sort of testing procedure or assistance in the cloning of our innies and volunteers of the severed floor, all to maybe like work towards perfecting cloning so they can like
do it right
clone
for
Kier.
Kier.
Yeah. And I like what you said, like in an earlier episode, where like the whole point of MDR, like sorting the numbers and whatever, and how you correlated that with the 4 aspects of Kier.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know.
We're at one of them now. Like they're going through one of his tempers now.
Whoa, you're right. Whoa, dude.
Whoa.
There was a lot of like, whoa, and then there's like a lot of like, whoa, in this episode.
Yeah, like very heartbreaking woes. I will also say, like, these twins of our friends here, like they look a little odd. They don't look like normal.
Yeah.
Which could also explain maybe they're, not totally ready, like you were kind of hitting at.
Yeah.
So they don't, I mean, they obviously resemble our friends, but they don't look like something's off, especially the next part. So Milkshake is like, Lumen will always protect and provide. And then he leads them away. And when that shows the twins again, and then Helly like has her head tilted. Like, what is she doing, dude? Is she malfunctioning and on the spot or what? That part was weird.
Yeah.
And they all looked robotic. Like,
yeah,
something really off. And then we come to this camp with blue tents and fire and torches. And when they get there, Miss Huang is there.
Of course she is.
They brought luxury meats.
Yes. Copious amounts.
Yes. Fire is for marshmallows and a recital, which unfortunately we never got to see.
Yeah. And nobody got the marshmallow treat either.
Rip.
I love when Milkshake is like, Miss Huang, burn the marshmallows. The heartbreak in Dylan's eyes.
Yeah. And then, of course, they had a luxury outhouse with 4-ply washroom tissue.
That's the good stuff.
Very impressive. Yes, that is high quality, top shelf tissue paper. And then Milkshake gives Mark a torch, and Mark looks like a little kid, like he's never seen fire before, and is very amazed. And then we go to Irving and Helly. They're Irving in his tent. She made him a seal out of snow. He's not amused.
Yeah. He's still a little ticked about Helly like cracking up. Well, like
that's later. That's after this.
Oh, okay. So no, he's upset at the whole dead seal thing, because they kind of got in a little tiff there.
He actually did apologize that he was a little rude or harsh or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he goes quickly to, Helly, you can be honest about what you saw, what you really saw. What did you really see? And then this part for me was really telling, because not much was said here. And the way that she said Irving was very calm, and it sounded a lot like Helena because the way that Helena speaks is a lot different than the way Helly speaks.
Oh yeah.
Very calm and like almost like monotone. Like,
No.
so I'm like, I don't know, man. You're not doing a really good job at like pretending you're not Helena.
So, other than the Night Gardener slip up, like, how do you think Irving came upon this conclusion?
I mean, I know how I came upon the conclusion, but I think like her, because she was very like, I can't think of the right word, but like she would console him. Like there was a part, maybe episode 2, where they're in the office and she like touches his elbow for like comfort or whatever, and he seemed like not weirded out, but like, what's this about? Like it just seemed off. I think. I mean, that's the way I took it. And Irving is he says a lot with his face, with his facial expressions.
Yeah.
But I think from the moment that she told the story in the new break room, it kind of set in motion this doubt that kind of just snowballed. Like the different things that she would do, the different things that she would say, kind of just, it wasn't adding up for him. And that whole beginning Night Gardener thing was like, what? Night Gardener? Who gardens at night? Did he have a flashlight?
Yeah, what's he wearing?
What's the deal? Yeah. So yeah, for him it was probably just kind of like a buildup of things. We obviously saw some other things that led to, led to my belief.
I just think it's sorry, I forgot my water. It's all the way over there.
Oh no!
So I apologize for the throat clears. I just think it's maybe not out of character for Irving, because he is like a bright guy, but like it just seemed odd that he would be the one that would catch on that it's actually Helena. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure how to explain it. I mean, I feel like maybe Mark of all people would know her the best, obviously, because they got this little like fling going, but he's probably also like blinded a little bit to that. But Irving, not that Irving is like aloof, but he almost is, you know, like kind of in his head near the clouds, maybe not in the clouds, but kind of like in his own world doing his own thing. And for him to like not, I don't know, because like obviously I see him figuring it out, but then I also see another world where Irving would not figure this out, and both are totally believable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know how to say like what I'm thinking.
I get it, but I would also say he has spent every single day, every single waking moment with these people. So he would know like little mannerisms, you know, like by like down to like reactions or I was going to go somewhere with that. I feel like what happened to him during the OTC
opened his eyes a little bit.
Opened his eyes, and there's something that happened between him and Bert that we haven't seen yet. So I think that kind of rattled him, and he brought it back with him to the office. So he's kind of questioning everything at this moment.
Something that happened between him and Bert on the outside or on the inside?
Outside.
Oh, so like, okay. So like when he was at his house.
Well, between that moment and then the payphone moment when Bert rolls up in his car, there's definitely more that happened there, and I think that kind of set Irving on this road.
I could see it.
So I guess, I mean, we might find out. I don't know. It's kind of
Maybe
big
someday.
question mark right now.
Yeah.
We might be seeing a lot more outie Irving, you know.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
So what Milchek reads from the appendix that like Helly then begins to make fun of.
Yeah.
I thought was really interesting. He reached up to grasp at his hair, which was suddenly moss that tore easily from his bleeding scalp. Like, what? And then Helly started making fun of it, and then everyone got angry. Milchek, like we said, told Miss Wong to dump all the marshmallows into the fire, which that needs to be a GIF. Like him telling her to do that needs to be made into a GIF.
Yeah. And the marshmallows had Kier's face on them.
Yeah, they did. Literally Kier branded.
Everything is Kier branded. Yep.
Yes. But yes.
Good product placement.
Indeed.
So this is when Irving is like, he's starting to lose it now because he's like, this isn't funny. He's getting on Mark for making goo goo eyes at Ellie. And then he's again trying to get her to tell everyone about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets really like pushy with it. And then Irv accuses Mark that he's too busy thinking about Helly while his wife is running away somewhere.
Yeah.
And then Dylan's like, F you, Irv. And then he's like, Irving's like, oh, it's 3 against 1 now, I see. And then this is another telling moment about Helly because she shoots back, but it's like strong but calm and demeaning at the same time. Like, we all know he's upset because he'll never see Bert again. Like, really making like low shots under the belt, you know?
Yeah.
And he's really lonely. Like, wow,
that's rough. That's brutal.
Yeah, those are. So Irving leaves, takes a torch, and he's gone. And then Helly's in her tent, and Mark shows up, and he says a carrot, and he's trying to make a joke about Dieter's thing turning into a carrot. And then that was weird. And then Helly says she was being mean. She's sorry for distracting Mark from finding his wife. And he reassures her that it's okay and she's actually helped a lot. Then they kiss. And then this like montage of them doing the dirty and Irving being lost out in the woods.
Yeah.
It was interesting. And Irving is shouting for milkshake and Miss Wong. And then there's a part where Irving trips and the torch goes out.
Yeah.
And then he actually goes and sits against the rock.
Excuse me.
And he falls asleep.
So did you? I'm gonna ask again. Maybe sometime this season you'll actually do it. But did you watch the behind the scenes thing?
I did.
Oh, okay, cool. I liked how the one dude, forget his name, writer, director, something.
Yep.
Both maybe. Was explaining how like season 1 is like the infant or like child stage, and this season is like the adolescent stage.
Yep.
It's such a, I mean, obviously a great way to describe it because he's like creating the show, but
they're like, they're like teenagers.
Yeah. It is conveyed very well. I think they did a good job of doing that subtly. So I don't know. Did you like pick up on that before he said that? I didn't really, but now it like makes so much sense.
Well, the way that after they did the thing and they're just kind of like laying there staring into each other's eyes like teenagers, and it was, I don't know, like it felt real, like not immature, that's not the right word, just young and in love, like that kind of look, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I do remember him saying that, and it does make a lot of sense. But they're still very like elementary in a lot of ways. Like they're experiencing a lot of firsts, if you know what I mean. And they've never been in the outside world. They've not seen the sky. They've not seen fire. They've never seen a dead animal. Like
Waterfalls.
Waterfalls.
Yeah.
Twins. This is actually the first time they've been able to sleep also.
That's
so
true.
There's some kind of, I don't know where I saw it, but there's got to be some type of like programming thing that kind of suspends the severance process. It kind of just makes it like it's 2 days that they're there. So like they experience nighttime.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty interesting.
That is interesting. Never really thought about that.
This next part was really crazy.
It was.
Because so they're laying there talking, and Helly says, I didn't like who I was on the outside. I was ashamed. And Mark asks, who were you? And there's a long pause. And she's about to say something. And he's like, I don't care who you are out there. I care who you are with me. That's all. And then they start kissing again. And then he sees Gemma for like a brief second. Like,
yeah.
Are the effects of the reintegration starting?
Yeah, because that's where we left off.
Because it didn't even dawn on me. Like I was like, oh yeah, that happened. I didn't know.
Yeah, but now it's like, when did that happen? Is it, like you said, is it happening right there? Does it happen later? But yeah, that was very unsettling because like, between that and the twins, actually, like I get the whole uncanny valley thing like is disturbing to me, and like the twins didn't seem to really have like facial features, which is creepy. And
just a blank stare.
Yeah, and then her like quick flip to Gemma, and then it was like the screen's kind of dark, so it almost kind of lingered a little bit, and I was like, oh, like this is very unsettling. I don't like this.
Jarring.
Yeah.
But like I feel like I was kind of waiting for it in the back of my mind, because we have seen this before. Like it was going to happen. We just didn't know when it was going to start.
Right.
And I hope that Petey's, whole thing doesn't happen with Mark.
That would be unfortunate.
Because I love Mark. He's very like central to this show.
Yeah, I would say that maybe even he is the main character of the show. So
I would say that.
It would be very unfortunate if our main characters had exploded in the middle of the season.
Right.
But you brought up Petey, and first off, if anyone just heard that through the microphone, that was not a toot. That was my chair squeaking. I just had to clarify, because you never know. These microphones, they pick up everything. But you brought up something today about Petey's map.
Yep.
And how that might correlate with maybe where they are on this ORTBO. You want to elaborate on that and dive in? You brought up Petey, so it came to mind, and I'd rather knock this out before we either both forget to talk about it. And
so I will try to add. Well, I can't do that. Because I want to show it. I want to show the map.
Keep talking. I'll try to make that happen.
Okay. So we remember. I mean, at this moment, I didn't really remember Petey's map, but I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I wonder if maybe this area, this place that they're at, is actually in Lumen. Like I feel like, yeah, that's it. So because we've been to the Perpetuity Wing, right? That's where Dylan got his award or whatever for his outstanding performance. And then on the left we see O&D,
Yes, Bert's department over here.
Which we were talking too about the little squiggly line above the perpetuity wing, the coil of doom.
Yes.
That's very unsettling.
Yeah.
The
break room over here.
Yep.
MDR right up here. Audio only listeners, I apologize. You'll have to go check out the YouTube channel. But yeah, you were thinking maybe we're over here in the bottom right in the team building section.
Because that is part of the ORTBO. And
yes, the T and the B, of course.
Yep.
Being team building.
And I don't know if we want to get to this part right now with Irving at the end, or we can save it and then come back. But I'm pretty sure that that's where they are. I think they're in Lumen. We just don't know where. Because it looks like there's another elevator right next to the team building.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. That I guess, yeah, I could see that because it's got an arrow pointing up and down, and inside a rectangle, I could see that.
And if you
because
think
here, yeah, that makes sense that this would be an elevator because on the left side it says there's an X and it says we're here because we're not all there. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're here at the X because they're not all
inside
in MDR.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, so yeah, you're right. Elevator here, elevator over by team building. You talk about this team building being the location, but what about what is this circle with the little houses, or maybe they're tents? I don't know. There's of course a handful of question marks there, and there's an arrow pointing into the circle. It says some people might live here. Is that maybe the small town that they live in that appears to be like all Lumen people, or is that maybe Woe's Hollow and those are the tents? But yeah, I think being inside Lumen does make sense somehow. How they are able to project like an outdoor hologram or hallucination or environment inside a building, I don't know, but also they sever their minds, so anything's possible, I guess.
And I was gonna say all of this is happening in their minds, right? So they can at this point with this technology, I feel like anything is possible. Like they could be literally hooked up to a virtual reality.
Yeah, San Juniper, I'm telling you, go watch that episode of Black Mirror. The goat office has grassy hills in it. Yeah, so there's like an environment that is outdoor, but you also see the walls of the office. So maybe they're just able to do that in a much bigger instance.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So can we come back to this image at the end? Because there's another part that I have like a whole other theory about.
We're so tiny in the corner there.
Oh man, there's so much going on in this episode.
We'll get back to it.
It's crazy. So let's talk about Irving's dream.
Okay.
Like the way I feel about Lumen now, it's like Severance Inception. Like it's dream within whatever else this is, within whatever else this is. It just kind of like goes down deeper and deeper and deeper. So when he wakes up, he's actually wearing his suit, not his furry garb.
I didn't realize that.
Yep. And all the trees are dead now. And then he makes his way to the desks from MDR. And one thing I did notice that computers were there, right? But there were moths flying around everywhere, all over the screen, whatever. And then he sits down. We see the numbers, and then the file name is Montauk. And I can't remember, but I was watching another video where there's like some kind of it means something.
I'll
I just
Google it
can't
real quick.
remember. And then the dividing wall comes down, and Bert is there staring very creepily at him. Irving is very happy to see him, and then Bert pulls the wall back up. Very short-lived moment for Irving. And then we hear typing from somewhere else and some weird noises. And then we see the short, creepy bride from the Kier's book that Milkshake was reading and showed the picture of her, like a drawing. That's who Kier met at Woe's Hollow. And then we see the numbers start to like go around crazy on the screen, and it looks like it's forming a face. It's like you gotta watch it again. It's
Really?
not like really detailed, but it kind of resembles a face. And then it's back on Irving, and then we get our first jump scare of the show, where this
Mhm.
chick is like right next to him,
Yeah.
and then he wakes up. So that whole sequence was insane. I feel like there's so much there. Like I gonna have to watch it again for the
Okay.
first time.
So first off, I found out what the Montauk thing is referencing to.
Okay.
But in doing that, I found out that Severance is no stranger to referencing real life like conspiracy theories and stuff.
Okay.
So Montauk Project is an actual conspiracy theory that I'm about to find the Wikipedia page for. But Cold Harbor is actually a reference to something in real life, which is very, very interesting. The Battle of Cold Harbor was a Civil War battle that took place in 1864, apparently the year or years before Lumen was founded.
Whoa. That's
So this show
crazy.
technically fits into my World War like watching thing. So I'm just saying
Whoa.
we're on target for my watching things.
Your World War cinematic universe.
Yes, Lumen is part of it. Right there with Godzilla.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
so let's see if I can figure out the Montauk Project. The conspiracy theory that alleges there were a series of United States government projects conducted at Camp Hero or Montauk Air Force Station in Montauk, New York, for the purpose of developing psychological warfare techniques and exotic research, including time travel.
Ooh. That's crazy.
But stories about the Montauk Project circulated or have been circulating since about the 1980s. But yeah, keep going, and I'll see if anything else interesting is in this Wikipedia page that could apply to Severance and Lumen.
Okay.
Oh, nope, hold on. Okay. Experiment stories seem to have originated with the highly questionable account of Preston Nichols and Al Bielek, who both claim to have recovered repressed memories of their own involvement. I mean, the whole thing of Severance is severing your memory. So I don't know.
That's crazy. Very crazy. I'm reading a lot of crazy stuff right now. I need to stop because I'm just going to start reading and not talk. So oh man, I need to watch it again because like a lot happened in such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So now after he wakes up, we go to Mark waking up in his tent and he's alone. Now Irving is running through the woods. I think something in his mind was revealed in that dream. So it's like he's on mission now. And then at the camp, it's just Mark and Dylan. They're calling out for Helly and Milkshake, and then Milkshake is there and he runs. Now we go to the waterfall. Helly is there admiring the waterfall or whatever she's doing. Then Irving shows up. And then what does he say? He says, "Hey, kid," or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he says.
And then they have this epic stare down.
Yes.
He asks what she's doing. And then she asks what he's doing. He's like, "I slept outside, almost froze to death."
No big deal.
No big deal. And then he says what she said to him was cruel, and that Helly was never cruel. And then she says, "I'm right here." A weird thing to say when you're being accused of being cruel and not being who you say you are.
Right.
And then he walks up to her like real close. And he's like, "So if you're not her, then who are you? Who would have the power to have their Audi sent to the severed floor?" Then she says, "I'm sorry."
Being around the bush anymore.
No, he's not messing. And then he grabs her and like is pulling her through.
Milkshake.
Yeah. I keep saying milkshake. Like he didn't shout milkshake. So he's taking her toward the river.
That would be so funny.
Milkshake.
Quick, Irving's having a stroke.
Yep. And then the others are here, and then they all reach this same point. Irving and Helena are at the river. The others are at the top of the waterfall now. And they are yelling at Irving. And then Irving says, "Turn her back, Mr. Milkshake. She's an outie." And then he starts dunking her head into the water.
Just straight up drowning her.
Like, and they're all freaking out. They're like, "Stop, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And then she's like, "She's a mole. I'm going to kill her, Mr. Milkshake. She's not Helly. She's an Egan." Like, he gets to that moment like really quick. And like, I have no idea how he got there. Like, from that dream to now, he figured it out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's something to do with that monitor, with like the face that's kind of there. There's more to it, but it clicked it in his brain. And then she says, "Seth, do it." So she's dropped the act. She's, just trying to, survive at this
Not
point.
die.
Right. And then Irving dunks her again, and Milkshake takes out a walkie, and he says, "Remove the glass goat block now."
The glass goat block?
Glasgow.
Oh, Glasgow block.
Block, yeah.
Glasgow block. I just...
Say that 5 times fast. So, and I saw
Mr. Milkshake, Mike's having a stroke.
There's a that's actually that that term is actually in a list of other there's like a list of different like procedures or like on the computer that there are options that you can choose from. That is one of the options in that menu. I got to look into it. That's all I know. But this just goes to show how powerful Lumen is, and how much control they have over everything. So, and then we hear the elevator ding, and Helly is back, and Milkshake rushes to Irving, while Irving is apologizing to Helly because she's freaking out, doesn't know what happened. She's all wet and cold and whatever. And Mark comes down to Milkshake is mad, and he's like very stern at this moment. And he's like, "Irving B., stand. You have threatened collegial murder in the pond of Woe's Hollow." And it is grounds for immediate dismissal. Your Audi will be notified. Dylan saying he's sorry. He should have listened. And Irving says, "Just remember, hang in there." Such an odd.
The cat. All I could think of is that motivational poster of the cat.
It's a crazy moment. Milkshake is telling him to stand or turn around and walk. And then Irving gets up close to Milkshake. He is totally unfazed. Like Irving, I think he feels like a hero at this point. Like he did something awesome.
He's a real dude.
And has no fear. And then Milkshake tells him to walk into the forest. He starts walking into the forest. He looks back at everyone and then continues to walk away. Milkshake says, your workspace will be cleared. Your file will be purged and destroyed. It will be as if you, Irving B, never existed. May Kier's mercy follow you into the eternal dark. Wow.
It's so epic and
wow.
brutal.
So then the camera zooms in on Irving. His eyes close. Elevator ding, and it goes black. And then there's pleasant elevator music for the credits.
Yeah.
Holy crap, dude. This was a wild, wild episode. Like, this was probably the craziest episode. One of the crazy. I wouldn't say the craziest. So, can we go back to that Petey's map?
Yeah, but first, I think the Glasgow block is like the Audi version of the OTC. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So like the innies have the overtime contingency. That's what they flipped to go onto the outside.
Yep.
And maybe the Glasgow block is what prevents the Audis from being on the inside. So if you turn that off, or having it on prevents the Audis from going into the inside. So turning that off would, I don't know. Maybe they're different. Maybe they're the same thing. But yes, back to the map.
Okay. So, a couple things.
Yes.
We remember the whole propaganda video of the MDR uprising.
Yes.
You remember they showed Irving, like his hair on fire, like screaming and going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? Okay.
I do.
Okay. Look at the bottom right corner with the stick figure. He's got the arrows coming out of his eyes. He's got like little lightning bolts coming off his head, which this might not be the same thing, but maybe, or at least referencing. But if you see, okay, there's the one path, the like squiggly lines that come off of the team building department.
Mm-hmm.
And then it like kind of like zigzags and it's gone.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's Irving's end.
Like could be. It would be weird though that Petey drew it. You know.
Yeah, I know, but it's like maybe like a weird foreshadowing that the creators did. kind
like,
of hinting at what's to come and
an Ari Aster type thing. I don't know if you've watched any Ari Aster movies, but
I have not.
So like Hereditary, Midsummer, those movies.
Okay.
He usually at the very beginning, at least like in Midsummer, like within the first 25 minutes or so, they show this big art mural that literally tells the entire movie.
Oh, okay.
Which you then realize after you've seen the movie, I'm like, oh, that's like literally the story of exactly what happens. So maybe that's something similar, like you're saying. It would be interesting because if you see that path, I'll try to follow it with the mouse. When it gets over here to the squiggles, like maybe that signifies him being lost in the wood.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. That's very interesting. I do want to know like what's up with all these symbols though. Because like over here around O and D, we have like some X's, but also that kind of looks like Roman numerals maybe. Because this looks like an IX, and then you got two X's and then two I's again.
Oh yeah.
But then there's like the weird squiggles here, and you referenced earlier. I I sent you like I came across a really dumb Thor meme, and it was all about electrical currents, but it had like Mjolnir, like the handle, like the different like transistor, conductor, resistor, and whatever the fourth one was. The handle was that shape or design, and a lot of those designs for electrical current things like are very similar to some of the symbols on this map.
Bro.
And so like it turned out to it was supposed to be just a funny dumb Thor joke, but then I was like, maybe this is just because of the type of show. But then I was like, wait a second, maybe this explains Severance somehow.
Wild thought, which I'm totally tracking with you, and this is kind of like what led me here. Does this map not look like a freaking circuit board?
Dude,
but then look up at the mind.
That looks like
it looks like a
CPU
motherboard
or something. Or
the
yeah,
chip.
Yeah.
Dude, what?
And then you have like all these colored rectangles.
Yep.
That have no like there's no legend or meaning.
Nope.
But yeah, you got these strange symbols up here in the top right.
And then you've got the MDR and then the Illuminati triangle above it, which might just be, coincidence. I don't know at this point.
Coil of doom.
Which is very much like electrical, it all looks like electric stuff.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I don't know.
Could be totally wrong, by the way.
If you're watching and you made it this far in the episode, thank you, first off.
Yes.
Secondly, leave a comment and let us know if you think we're just out of our mind or maybe we're onto something. Or what
literal mind,
yeah, or what kind of crazy theory you think is going on. First off, this is a smiley face, which is adorable. Okay. Looks like a toilet paper roll with a smiley face.
I want to know where the export hall is. It's not on here. You think it's that?
Maybe it's the coil of doom.
Huh.
I don't know. But yeah, let us know, guys. Do you need this map up anymore?
Nope.
Okay. Nope. We're still little tiny circles. All right. Yeah. Very interesting episode. I think Bianca is on something. Thank you for chatting on Facebook, Bianca. That was a fun little interaction this afternoon. Yeah, cloning for sure. That kind of falls in line with what we were talking about earlier in the season. Falls in line with the intro like video of the show where we have like the little old man baby crawling. And it would make sense that they would be testing that out to perfect. So when they attempt cure, it would go off without a hitch and be a perfect clone or revive of Kier.
Yeah.
What do you think is the significance of his brother and that whole story?
I don't know. I thought that was really way out in left field. I don't know. I think maybe just to tell Kier's woe. Because he essentially killed his brother for doing stuff in the woods.
Yeah.
That was his brother.
That was also like a couple different kind of woes. Like Kier just comes, he's like, whoa,
buddy.
And then he's like, oh man, he just ripped his mossy scalp off and now he must die.
Whoa. And he's like screaming and he goes to the waterfall to drown out his brother's crying. Yeah. Brutal maniac.
Yeah. Couple different kind of woes. Very, very much fits this episode. I think the timeline of when the reintegration is actually happening and when this episode is actually happening is going to be very important too. And I wonder if that we saw the beginnings of that in the tent with the face glitching.
Yeah.
But now, what if this show is really just like Tron now, and they're just all in a circuit board?
Dude.
And it's so cool because they have like great cooling fans. That's why it's always snowy.
So it's a mix of Tron.
Yeah.
I'm calling it right now. This is a lot like Truman Show. Like,
oh yeah, you were saying that too. There's something not right about the town that the Audis live in.
yeah.
It's
And
just,
like the fact that, you know, Kobelvig was going to leave,
came back,
but then went back and then left again.
Yeah.
So I think
still a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
They're
in a dome.
Yeah.
They're totally in a dome.
They actually live in a snow globe. In Santa Claus's snow globe office.
Okay, buddy.
Tim Allen is the one watching them.
He's just holding it, staring at it.
Yes.
Shaking it.
All right. I will say before we leave, during the Super Bowl, well, I think maybe it was during the Super Bowl, but also before the Super Bowl, I've been seeing a lot of oh shoot, what the heck is the company? Ads with Lumen. It's a hiring app. It's maybe Indeed. Maybe that was the one, or something similar to it. Yeah, totally is like fully Lumen, has Milchek, Marcus, like all of them on there, and it was like amazing. And I've been hearing some Tax Act ads featuring Adam Scott's voice, and it just makes me think of Mark S. Right. It's not like directly a Severance and Lumen ad, but I really do think it was Indeed. That one definitely is, because they say Lumen Industries and all that stuff. Yeah, I just thought that was fun. Anything you want to get off your chest before we end here?
Nope, I'm good. Very good episode. Almost halfway. Next Friday, episode 5. I'm pumped.
Yes. Oh, it's ZipRecruiter.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy that we're almost halfway through.
Yeah.
Feels like we're just getting started. But yes, next week will be the halfway point. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, let us know your wild theories about what's going on, because I feel like
it's just getting weirder.
There's probably so many more that we haven't even thought of. Let us know.
We're just two guys trying to figure this thing out, just like the rest.
That's right. Just two guys just making our way through the galaxy. I'm gonna try to finish the UUR audiobook. It's free.
Nice.
If you can stomach trying to use Apple products, I would recommend giving it a listen, because according to Bianca, there's some parallels, maybe some clues as to what's really going on here. Are you going to try to give that a listen? It's only about an hour long. A couple good car drives. Maybe knock that bad boy out.
Possibly.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to give that a listen by the time we record again, and I will report back if there's anything interesting in there. Awesome. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace. Sorry, I was glitching. Is that the only place it's at? Is on Apple? I feel like it should be somewhere else.
I looked everywhere.
Stupid.